Welcome to the Natural Allergy Treatment Podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and joining me today is Jenny, our PAT expert naturopath based in Auckland, New Zealand. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jess.
We're part of Health and Wellness Australia and Auckland, who are a team of naturopaths around Australia and New Zealand that specialise in a natural allergy treatment called Positive Association Technique, or PAT. So in this episode, we're going to be talking all about gut health, the gut microbiome, and how it's one of the main causes of rising rates of allergies and allergic conditions. So Jenny's going to give us some at-home tips for improving our gut health and how our natural allergy treatment, PAT, can also assist.
Yeah, so this is a really big area, and allergies and gut disorders are both steadily rising, with approximately 30 to 40% of the world's population now reporting some kind of allergic reaction, which is, huge. So the World Health Organization has actually announced it as one of the three major diseases of the 21st century. And with this has also been this increase in the severity and the amount of allergies that people now develop. So nowadays, in the scientific research world, it's been widely accepted that alterations in gut bacterial levels or the gut microbiome diversity may be the leading cause for the rise in the food allergies. So several studies have shown that gut dysbiosis, especially in early childhood, brings a greater risk of food allergies that will continue into adulthood rather than them growing out of them. And so having a balanced gut microbiome and a proper digestive function is vital for efficient nutrient absorption, immune system support, and even our mental health. So over recent years, medicine has started to recognize what a pivotal role the gut and the digestive system plays in our health. And in fact, many integrative medicine doctors now consider the gut to be like the second brain.
So could you start off by explaining what the importance of gut health is?
Yeah, so you might not have thought about your digestive system and sort of everything that it actually does to keep us healthy and thriving. For starters, it's the largest surface area in the body. So it's essentially just a long continuous tube about 9 meters in length that's completely separate from the rest of our body. And that's so that it can contain, because anything that you eat or inhale is considered essentially not you. So they have to make sure that it's not going to affect you or your immune system in any way. So the gut, or as it's known, but the proper term is the gastrointestinal tract, is a complex system that's responsible for the digestion and the absorption of nutrients from the food that we consume. And it's home to trillions of microorganisms, which is collectively known as the gut microbiome. And this microbial community influences various aspects of our health, including metabolism, immunity, and even mood.
And could you explain what exactly is the gut microbiome?
Yeah, so from the inside of our gut to the surface of our skin, our bodies are a host to thriving communities of microbial life. So that's including bacteria, viruses, archaea, and fungi. And so the most diverse and abundant community of these microbes lives in our gut, and that's referred to as the gut microbiome. So we live in harmony with our gut microbes. In return for them, we provide them with a food source and environment in which they can live. So they protect our body from invasion from pathogenic microorganisms. They can modulate our immune system. They help us to extract energy from our food, and they produce a number of beneficial chemical compounds such as short-chain fatty acids. So in recognition of this vital role that they maintain in our health, some scientists believe that the gut microbiome should be reclassified as an additional organ of the body. So it's huge. So a healthy gut microbiome will have a diverse array of beneficial bacteria and fungi and other microbes. And so the type and abundance of microbes that live in the gut generally will remain stable over time, but external factors such as diet and the use of certain medications can alter this composition. And so when this microbial balance is disrupted, or when a toxigenic species becomes overgrown, it can lead to an imbalance known as dysbiosis. And so this can cause chronic digestive orders such as irritable bowel syndrome, SIBO, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and other diseases that require a continuous immune response, as our bodies have to fight against the imbalances and the problems that they cause.
So the influence of the gut microbiome actually extends far beyond our digestive tract. So in fact, dysbiosis has also been implicated in a number of these systemic diseases. But what are some of the other common symptoms that dysbiosis can contribute to as well?
Yeah, so I mean, there's such a array of symptoms, but the biggies are there's sleep issues. You've got all the digestive stuff, so you've got constipation, diarrhea, bloating, heartburn, irritable bowel syndrome, and other digestive issues. But you've got allergies and food intolerances, skin conditions such as eczema and acne, halitosis, which is bad breath, migraines, sluggishness, fatigue, mood disorders such as anxiety and depression, and weight gain and food cravings.
So you mentioned some of these digestive disorders earlier. Would you be able to explain SIBO and leaky gut in particular?
Sure. So SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and that occurs in the top part of the small intestine. And this is where most of the food molecules get broken down. So not a lot of bacteria should be there, as they will compete with your body for that nutrition. So when a bacteria or a yeast build up in this area, problems can occur because the bacteria or the yeast can ferment the carbohydrates to produce this excessive gas and bloating. And they can also break down proteins which produce vasoactive amines, which can cause the constriction and the relaxation of the blood vessels by acting on the smooth muscle that surrounds these vessels. So when this happens in the gut, it can lead to an increased gut permeability, or other words, leaky gut. And so this causes the digestive system to become aggravated and inflamed, causing the intestinal wall to become more porous and dysfunctional. So this can mean undigested proteins, fats, wastes, bacteria, fungal parasites that are normally not absorbed can kind of make their way across the gut wall into the bloodstream. And so this causes the immune system to go into an alert mode and places our systems under extra pressure to fight and detoxify these unwanted materials from our system. So this in turn can cause food sensitivities or intolerances to develop with foods that previously you had no problem consuming. And so unless this gut wall is repaired, there is the potential that more reactions to foods will develop and further systemic damage can occur.
So leaky gut is a major contributor to the development of allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances. But how else does our gut microbiome contribute to these issues?
So scientists have found that the epithelial cell, which is a single layer that forms the lining of both the small and the large intestines of our gut, looks really different in people with food allergies compared to those without. So this can be attributed to the microbiome and those cells that process the food proteins. They also discovered that the gut microbiomes found in people with allergies is less diverse than people without allergies. And so if you have good gut health, your chances of developing allergies are lower compared to someone with poor gut health. We also have microbiomes in other areas of the body, like our nose and on our skin. So interestingly, studies have shown that people with hay fever often have a different composition of their nasal microbiome with more of a certain bacterial species, which can lead to increased inflammation and a higher risk of hay fever symptoms. So as you see, the gut microbiome, with its trillions of bacteria residing in our digestive system, plays a crucial role in regulating immune function. When the balance of the gut is disrupted, it can lead to immune dysregulation and an increase of susceptibility to allergies. So gut health is super critical to help regulate our immune system and thereby reducing the severity and the amount of allergy symptoms a person has.
So, from what you're saying, it's all about the diversity in the gut microbiome, and the greater the diversity, the better. So, how has our modern lifestyle negatively impacted this diversity in the gut microbiome, resulting in this rise in allergies?
So the main theory, which you may have already heard about, is the hygiene hypothesis. So our immune system needs to be exposed to the good germs early on to educate and shape our immune system from birth. So it can and to provide as many beneficial microbes to colonize our gut and help our immune system mature in these early years. So the environment that children grow up nowadays in the Western world is more urbanized and sanitized. So there's less exposure to germs and soil. So soil actually contains beneficial microbes that many of our ancestors naturally obtained when they were eating like farm fresh food, vegetables, or just in the wild, or digging in the soil. So they call this horizontal transmission of these microbes, and they help to strengthen their gut and their immune system. So to achieve this nowadays, you've pretty much got to do an activity that brings you in contact with soil, like gardening or making a herb garden. Playing with your pets and spending time outdoors will influence that. And it's organic or even better still, homegrown foods will have more of a diverse bacterial population than conventionally grown produce, because it's been sprayed and killed a lot of these microbes off. But another major factor is modern birthing practices. So as of 2021, the percentage of women in Australia giving birth for the first time who had a C-section or a cesarean has increased to 1/3, or like 33%. So C-section babies are at risk of reduced microbiome diversity as they don't go down the mother's birth canal, so they don't actually obtain their gut flora. And this gut flora is kind of like their starter kit for colonizing their own gut. So you need to give specific supplementation with specific strains of probiotics to help colonize their guts with this good bacteria before unhealthy strains will get there first. But breastfeeding also provides benefits, because there's particular types of prebiotics that are found in breast milk which are known to selectively feed these beneficial bacteria and sort of help to establish a healthy community in the infant's gut. So unfortunately, baby formula is not able to replicate this, and so if they just drink solely baby formula, the gut's microbiome composition can be compromised. And globally, the percentage of infants under 6 months of age exclusively breastfed is now only 48%. So it's actually dropped a lot.
Yeah, and I guess that's why they say that we inherit our gut microbiome from our mothers, and this is the way that it's transferred to us as well. But is the overuse of antibiotics another major factor?
Yeah, so medications, not just antibiotics, they play a role in decreasing the diversity of this microbiome. So studies have shown that children who take antibiotics or even acid blockers for reflux and things like that in the first 6 months of their lives are at a higher risk of experiencing allergic asthma and eczema. And then there's this other study of children who were given antibiotics before the age of 2, and it showed that 74% of them were on average nearly twice as likely to have developed asthma by the time they were 8. And so the more courses of antibiotics the children had, the more likely they were to develop this asthma or eczema or hay fever, which is, that triad of allergies, even if they didn't have a genetic risk, which is, another major factor. But it's not just antibiotics that are the issue. There was a study published in Nature that found that almost a quarter, or 24%, of non-antibiotic drugs also can have a significant effect on the gut microbiome. And this included several antihistamine medications, including Claritin. So, so the other, there's another big issue too. It's the modern food additives that we have and the amount of highly processed foods that we eat nowadays. So it'll obviously come as no surprise that processed sugary foods will impact our gut and our microbiome. And it does this because sugar alters the microbiome by favoring the growth of unwanted species of bacteria that will contribute to chronic inflammation and weight gain. And it also irritates the gut wall. So and then eating really ultra-processed foods, even just for 3 days, can have a detrimental effect on your gut. So they did a study where eating that way for 10 to 14 days can reduce the microbiome diversity by 40%.
Wow, I guess it's no surprise that our gut microbiome is really suffering these days. Our modern lifestyles are just really hitting it from all angles. So when it comes to gut health, many of us have either heard of or tried probiotics. But what else can we do to help improve our gut microbiome diversity?
Yeah, so there's a lot of interest in the area of supplementation for clinically researched probiotic products because they really can improve our gut health. So probiotics are defined as live microorganisms that, when administered in adequate amounts, confer a health benefit to the host. So basically, they are giving us the good, positive bacteria that's going to feed or is going to contribute to this microbiome and help our immunity. So the most well-known benefits of probiotics relate to their ability to support the health of the digestive tract and our immune system. So that benefits otherwise sort of generally healthy people. But certain strains of probiotic bacteria can, they found now, targets more specific aspects of our health and well-being. So that's including our mood, our bone health, nutrient absorption, skin conditions. And then they'll help with the more complex conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome. So the thing that's really interesting about that is that the benefits of probiotics are strain specific. So different probiotic bacterial strains, even within the same species, can have very different properties and activities in the human gastrointestinal tract, which is why it's really important to know exactly which strains are actually present in your probiotic, and then also it's probably a really good idea to follow the advice of a naturopath or a healthcare professional, because they can match up your symptoms with the most appropriate probiotic. But really, what it all comes down to is what we eat. So a diet rich in fiber and whole grains and fruits and vegetables and fermented products sort of promotes a more diverse and healthy gut microbiome.
Yeah, a lot of naturopaths these days are doing the gut microbiome testing as well. So that's a way to be even more specific in figuring out what species or what strains people actually need to help with their condition. But when it comes to these dietary choices, what are some of the choices we can make to help promote this microbiome diversity?
Yeah, so eating a wide variety of plants instead of the same ones over and over will really help to increase the diversity of the bacteria and fungi, because obviously different bacteria and fungi live on different plants. Eating healthy fats like avocado and fish and nuts and olive oil, these will these healthy fats produce short chain fatty acids, which help to protect the gut lining from inflammation. The brassica, I'm probably saying that wrong, brassica family, which is broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and collards, they contain an organic chemical compound that helps maintain gut flora. So obviously they're really important to have. If you eat pre and probiotic foods, they also contain special forms of starch. These are fructooligosaccharides and inulin that basically the beneficial bacteria like to eat, and so they thrive on that. So prebiotic foods would be things like artichokes, garlic, leeks, onion, asparagus, banana, beetroot, green peas, grapefruit, and legumes. And then the probiotic foods, these are like all of your fermented stuff. So kefir, kombucha, kimchi, and other fermented foods. Eating collagen-rich foods can also help to strengthen the gut wall. For example, drinking a bone broth will help build the wall of the gut due to its amino acid structure and high gelatin content. So it makes it soothing and healing to the gut and reduces inflammation. This is especially true for glutamate, which is one of the amino acids found in bone broth, as it aids in digestion and protects the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. For vegetarians and vegans, seaweed is a great option to include in your veggie broth, as it contains this glutamate, and it's a great source of collagen proteins, which have been found to be very similar to the human collagen molecule structure. So it's easy for our body to incorporate and use. And then staying well hydrated and drinking enough water is another key, because this helps support proper digestion and also helps maintain regular bowel movements. So, aim for about 8 cups of water a day, but adjust that, sometimes you've done a lot more exercise, or sometimes for smaller children, 8 cups, you don't need necessarily that many. So, just adjust it to your level.
Yeah, another rule to follow is the 35 mils per kilo of body weight, and then add on any kind of activity or diuretics and things like that. So you're saying it's all about getting variety to encourage diversity in the gut. But for people with multiple food sensitivities, like many of the clients that we see at our clinics, it's actually really difficult. So would being on a restricted elimination diet further exacerbate the issue?
Yeah, so following a strict elimination diet is actually being found to negatively impact our gut microbiome diversity, especially like a low FODMAP diet, because that cuts out heaps of the prebiotic and these high fiber foods. And a lot of the foods that are good for our gut health, like these fermented foods, for example, are also high in histamine, as well as the glutamate in bone broth and seaweed. So it is really tricky when you have these multiple food sensitivities to actually get, the right thing.
Yeah, and this is one of the main reasons that clients actually seek us out for PAT, as they're sick of just being on this really strict elimination diet, and they want to be able to reintroduce foods back into their diet to help get that variety back. So could you explain the process that we use during a PAT session to assess and help manage food sensitivities?
Yeah, so we're all qualified naturopaths, and we use a form of muscle testing or kinesiology to assess your reactions to various food chemicals like histamine and glutamates, as well as a wide range of other food and airborne and chemical substances. So how muscle testing works is that you'll hold onto a sample vial of the substance, and we're looking for a change in your muscle strength to indicate a reaction. So if the muscle in your arm stays strong, then that shows that your body's okay with that. But if your muscle weakens, then it indicates there's a reaction to the substance. And then we use this chiropractic tool called an AccuStim to stimulate the nerve bundles and acupressure points down either side of your spine while you're holding on to that sample. And this helps to retrain your body to no longer have a negative reaction to the substance.
So if you're interested in learning more about positive association technique to see if it can help you, I'll pop a link in our in the show notes with our previous episode called What is PAT? And you can also visit our website, naturalallergytreatment.com.au, to get some more information there. Now, as a little bonus, in your research for this article and podcast, you came across some really interesting info about how the gut bacteria can have a beneficial effect on mood and anxiety, partly by affecting the vagus nerve. Is that right?
Yeah. So researchers have found that certain gut bacteria can improve brain function by affecting the vagus nerve. So animals were given the probiotic Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and what they found is that the researchers found that there's like a positive changes to the GABA receptors in the brain and a reduction in the stress hormones, and they were less depressed and had sort of less anxiety-like behavior. The researchers also concluded that these beneficial changes between the gut and the brain were facilitated by the vagus nerve, and when the vagus nerve was removed in mice, the addition of the Lactobacillus rhamnosus to their digestive systems failed to reduce the anxiety, stress, or improve their mood. And so another study found that the probiotic Bifidobacterium longum normalized anxiety-like behavior in mice by acting through this vagus nerve. So high vagal tone also improves the function of the digestive system by improving the production of stomach acid and digestive enzymes. So that's all connected.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. I find it so interesting. So you actually wrote a whole blog about the vagus nerve a little while ago. So I'll pop a link in the show notes for those who want to learn more about that too. But thank you so much for today, Jenny. Hopefully our listeners have gained a good understanding of the gut microbiome and gut health and how it relates to their allergy symptoms, and all that nutritional advice that you've given as well.
No worries. It's a really interesting topic, and hopefully this has shed some insight for everybody.
Perfect. Speak to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.